Hello. So I should start by asking, do we have any e-residents in the room? One, two, that's good. And how many of you are Estonians? Okay. And international residents of Estonia? Okay, pretty much all Estonian and a couple of e-residents, which is going to be interesting. You know, I spend a lot of time speaking to people outside of Estonia about Estonia. I hope today's going to be a bit interesting for you as well. So I had a chat with the organisers about what to speak about, and they said, can you tell us about the future of the programme? But to be honest, a lot of our future plans are in the public domain already. You can take time and go through what we're doing. But I think to really understand the future, we need to look back at the past and look back at the ideas that led to the creation of e-residency and why we offer it. Another quick question, like, put your hand up if you think e-residency is a good idea. Okay, that's good. And put your hand up if you think e-residency is a bad idea, or maybe it's pointless or overhyped. One very brave person. That's a very, or two. It's a very fair opinion. I think if we polled everyone in Estonia, there would be a lot more people who are skeptical about e-residency, which is very fair. So I'm going to quickly look back about why we offer e-residency and what Estonia gets out of it. So even though I'm from the UK and I don't sound Estonian, believe it or not, I am Estonian. I can prove it. I've got my ID card with me. This is my grandfather's ID card. So my family were part of the exodus from Estonia and Latvia in 1944. My family fled to the UK. This was my grandfather's ID card given to him by the British government. So my granddad wanted to be Estonian until the very end. He didn't take British citizenship. And the British authorities gave him an international travel document, and they wrote valid for all countries except Estonia. And the reason why they did that is because the UK always recognised Estonia's independence. So they said only the Republic of Estonia has the right to issue ID documents valid inside Estonia. So we're going to write except Estonia on it. So I always tell people, like, yes, our ID cards are remarkable, and we can tell you why they're remarkable, but the mere fact that we can issue ID cards on behalf of the Republic of Estonia, and the fact that people around the world want them, is really remarkable. Unfortunately, my granddad died in 1982, so he never got to see Estonia become independent again. He never saw what an incredible success story we have around us. But I want to take you back a couple of years just before my granddad died. This is a street in London, Hyde Park Gate, and this was the home of the... Actually, I'm going to ask you another quick trivia question. Does anyone know what is the only part of the Estonian state that has existed continuously for 100 years? So it's the Foreign Ministry. So the Foreign Ministry has always operated for 100 years because our diplomats around the world continue to show up for work. And this is one of the places they showed up for work. This is the Estonian legation in London. And one day in 1979, that's how it looked in the top corner, there was a Scottish banker walking down the street, and he saw this blue, black and white flag fluttering there. And it just so happened that he had a really big interest in flags, and he had never seen that one before. So he knocked on the door and went inside to find out what was going on there. And that's when he found Estonian diplomats in exile, and they told him about the Republic of Estonia, its right to exist, and the campaign for independence. And that Scottish banker that day decided to join our campaign. And he campaigned for a number of years after that in favour of Estonia. This is him on the right, he now lives in Estonia. He now speaks Estonian. He speaks better Estonian than me. And he works in business, helping bring a lot of business to Estonia as well. He's head of the British Estonian Chamber of Commerce. And this was him when he was given an award by President Ilves, the highest decoration for non-Estonians, and that's for his services to the Republic. So the question I want to ask is, how do we get more people like James? So James made a massive contribution to our country. He felt like he was part of our country. He wanted to contribute to it. And the thinking behind e-residency originates from this. How do we incentivize more people around the world to want to contribute to our country like James? So you often hear about what e-residents bring to our country in terms of business, but purely if we can incentivize people to want to support our culture and values as well, to spread knowledge about Estonia around the world, then that's really important as well. And the truth is that all countries do this. Now, Estonia is the first country to launch e-residency, which means it's the first country to give a name for this is what we call non-residents. But all countries seek out relationships with non-residents. It just so happens that we have technology which enables us to get more value out of this relationship, both for them and for us. So e-residency is a new word. The technology behind it is fairly new. We've obviously been using our digital ID card since 2002, but the ideas behind e-residency are not new. It's a continuation of Estonia's strategy of reaching out around the world and finding more friends. And I'm sure many of you remember 2014 when Barack Obama came to visit. Barack Obama was actually one of the very first people to receive a digital ID card despite not being a citizen or resident of Estonia. So during his trip, he was asking President Ilves a lot about e-Estonia and how the digital ID cards worked. And just as he was leaving, he was given his own digital ID card as a gift. And that was kind of a foretaste of what was going to happen with the creation of e-residency. So this is at the top, we have our past and current Chief Information Officers. And they're the people who came up with this idea of, well, you know, if Estonians can use their digital ID cards to access our country from anywhere in the world, if we can run trusted companies entirely online from anywhere, then why not anyone? And what kind of effect would that have? So they awarded a scholarship, and the scholarship was awarded to Kasper Kurius, who became our first managing director. He was given a spare desk and a very small budget, and his job was to make e-residency happen. This was the application being launched, the start of the online applications for e-residency. So a funny story here, actually. So it just so happens that we needed a list of countries for people to apply from, to tell us which country they're from. That was copied and pasted from a website on the internet, and people forgot to check whether or not these countries were actually recognized by the Republic of Estonia. So this was the first crisis when someone realized that we're accidentally recognizing more countries than Estonia recognizes. So this was a bit of a diplomatic crisis, and our MD had to pull over to the side of the road and quickly fix that. So when e-residency launched, it was very much like a startup. Things were being developed very fast as we went along. Mistakes were being made. But people were signing up, and the first people that signed up were really supportive, really forgiving, and it's continued to grow over the past 4 years. It's currently growing at its fastest ever rate. So the e-resident population doubles every year, the number of companies they start double every year. The amount of taxation they pay to Estonia has been doubling every year, so it's about 10 million euros so far. And yet that 10 million is only a very small proportion of the contribution that e-residents make to Estonia. So actually the biggest contribution they make is when they do business with other Estonian companies. So I was walking around here earlier. There's Leapin, they've got stickers all around the place. Leapin employs 50 people, including I think about 35 here in Tartu. Their entire business is built on serving e-residents. I've gone over time here, so I'm just going to finish saying kind of why does Estonia offer e-residency? Well, we get some additional taxation. We get more tax money in than we spend on the program, but that's a very small proportion of it. The biggest opportunities come from increased business for Estonian companies, but actually if you really want to understand why e-residency was launched and where we see the future of the program, you need to understand that we believe the Republic of Estonia is stronger when we have more connections around the world. And that's not just about business, that's about how do we make more friends who bring us more influence and opportunities. And the number of companies are continuing to grow, but what you're going to see now is a lot more focus on how we can export Estonian culture through e-residency as well. And I've gone way over time, so thank you very much.
Yay! Let's make more friends with e-residency. Thank you for being our friend, Adam.